Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I am so glad you came back and joined us for another episode. So happy that you showed back up. Just tickles me to death. I really enjoy seeing the results of some of the work that's going on out here. It tickles me to death. It really does. Can't tell you that enough. Today, we're going to be block sanding. So y'all hang tight, sit back. We're going to get this thing ready for the next step. Welcome to In the Garage. As you can see, we pretty much got one quarter panel done, except this little area through here. We're going to do that with a smaller block. Right now I'm just working with the bigger block over there. Got a little spot here and a little spot here, and I've gone as low as I want to go on the sealer. I don't want to. I've said it before, true sealer is not sandable. That does not mean that you can't sand on it. You can sand on it. It's just not going to sand. It's just not going to have the same characteristics as a primer or a two-pack primer, or like a high build or something like that, high solid. If you can do some leveling at this stage, by all means, go ahead and do some leveling if you can. How much you can do solely depends on how much sealant you put on to start with. So those of you who have watched the channel know that I put 2 heavy coats of sealer on every panel, and the body work, wherever there's body work, it gets a total of 3 heavy coats of sealer. So that helps me out. That's in the back of my brain, sort of lets me know how far I can go, because you don't want to go through your sealer. It's not catastrophic, but it can cause some issues like blistering or fry up. If you've ever heard the term fry up, that's basically where you've gone through a layer, and then you go back with another layer on top of that, and the reducer from your new coating seeps in under the parts where you went through and causes what's called a fry up. And it's a little problematic. You can fix it, but it's an unnecessary problem if you don't have to deal with it. What I want to show you right now, if you remember, the trunk, the deck lid, was the first panel that got bodywork, pour 15, and sealer. All right, so you're gonna have to go back a ways. I suggest you go back, all the way back, and catch yourself up if you haven't already. Catch yourself up with where we're at. But back to the topic. Pour 15 can be sprayed, it can be rolled, it can be put on with a brush. On this panel, I rolled it on. You can read the back of the label on the can, and it is self-leveling. And not to be confused with self-smoothing. I don't know if that makes any sense. So I'll show you what I'm running into. All right, hopefully you can see this. So you see all these dark lines and all this patchiness. I can just let me hit a spot right here. You notice how the sealer does not sand very well at all. It's not supposed to. That should be good enough. All right, see all this weird patterning going on? This splotchiness, all this stuff going on. That is because I rolled it on. and it just gave a much different finish than spraying it. I'm very glad I sprayed everything else that had to be sprayed, because there, of course, there's times when rolling it on or brushing it on is the way to go. You may not have to do a bunch of taping or whatever. If you spray, you got to tape everything off. Rolling it or brushing it on, you've got a little more control over where it goes. So there is definitely a time and place to roll or brush on. But if you're doing a automobile that you are after a quality finish, I would not suggest rolling it or brushing it on. The time, whatever time you saved by rolling it or brushing it, by not having to tape off or paper off or lay plastic or whatever, you will spend more of that time block sanding. To put this in perspective, this entire quarter panel took me a total of 15 minutes. This part of the deck lid that is not done has took me 25. So there's your perspective. You're going to spend a lot more time block sanding if you don't spray it, because the finish is not very good. But hopefully you got something out of that, and y'all hold tight and we'll move on. All right, we have got both quarter panels completely sanded, or blocked rather. And as far as we're gonna go with our sealer anyway. Now, a lot of you might not struggle with this. This might just be a me thing. But if you'll notice how this lip doesn't curve around, doesn't have a round profile to it. It's got flat. Comes in with the lip this way and then comes straight down and straight back. So luckily, very luckily for me anyway, none of this was damaged. So it's going to be easy to maintain. For some reason, I have such a hard time regaining these profiles and stuff like that on these lips. I don't know why I struggle so much, but man, I do. So I guess because this corner right here is so important in relation to your finished product, because that lip right there catches your eye. And if the profile of this part of the lip is off, meaning the curve is different, man, it catches your eye like crazy, and your eye just goes right to it, because as you walk by it or as it rolls by, the light runs down this profile here, and the reflection either gets really thin or really wide, or if this doesn't stay the same, it really catches your eye. And that's sort of it's a pet peeve of mine. To see stuff like that that's not correct, and it's really hard for me to get it correct for some reason, like I said. So what we're going to do, we're not going to hit this real hard. We're going to use a hard block. This is a DuraBlock 4-inch, and we are going to start with our sealer already accentuating this lip, because we want it to stay super flat, just like it is from the factory. And like I said, I was really lucky that none of this was damaged. So I'm not going to hit this really hard at all. All I want to do is just make sure that that flat is really almost exaggerated. I want it to be close to perfect as I can get it, and it goes all the way down through here and then runs into the flat part of the bottom of your rocker panel. So I really like for those small details to be correct. In my mind anyway, when I go to a car show, being a paint and body guy, that's what I focus on, is fit and finish. And if I look at these, if I see these small details and they are right, then you know, you can pretty much put to rest the fact that the big details are also took care of. Just one of my things. I just thought I'd point that out. All right. So now that we got the initial flattening and we're happy with that, now we got to start working on this contour right here. I use several things you can use, a lot of stuff I make. I use a Durablock round, 10-inch, I believe is what this is. Looks like it's probably, an inch and an eighth or so in diameter. And you don't want to just sit in here and rock this. You don't want to do that, because you'll end up building a trough right here. So your lever will go from one surface level into a trough and then into your curve, and that's really going to stick out like a sore thumb. So you need to come from up above it and come in and roll it. That way you're bringing this surface along with you and sweeping it right into that contour, and it's really going to make a difference in your finished product. When you're doing that, you want to make sure to pay attention to how you're rolling over this edge right here, because now you're going to burn through that really easy. So bring your surface down and roll it out towards the edge. And it's going to take you a minute, because you're not doing a whole lot of back and forth. So be patient and just roll that surface down towards the bottom, and you're going to be really happy with the results. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm going to bring it over here a little bit closer. I'll bring it over here. So, if you'll notice, when I'm rolling this, the edge of my block, whatever block you're using, is coming over this edge right here. So when you're out here, you're naturally going to want to add pressure to that, and you will burn through that edge real easy. So keep that in mind and be watching this edge and be watching this edge to make sure that you're not burning through. And just like I said, take your time and you will be happy with the results. All right, guys, we got both quarter panels done, and we're gonna move on to what is this? The captain side of the car. Get this front door, see what it looks like. Now, I want you to notice when I say sealer is not sandable, I want you to notice the sound sand and sealer makes until you break through that shiny shell that's on it. It just sounds like the sandpaper is just gliding across the top of it. And for the most part it is, but now watch when I go in the opposite direction, you notice a big difference in sound. That's because we're breaking through that shell. So let's see what this door is going to turn out like. I have a feeling it's going to be pretty good. Car that is going to get primer anyway, block sanded. We've got all of our pinholes fixed that we found so far anyway, and there was a lot of them, and probably more to go. Usually it takes a couple of 2 to 3 trips around a car to find everything, and hopefully everything you missed is so small that your fill and sand is going to fill it anyway, your primer. So now we move to the doors. So the doors have been block sanded, the 2 front doors anyway. The 2 back doors are actually inside the car over there, and we'll be getting to those shortly. I've got a friend coming over, actually the same guy that helped me pick the car up off the frame. His name's Wayne Ezel, and he's going to come over and help me put these doors on. But until he gets here, I think he's down at the swap meet somewhere, maybe down around Atlanta or something other. But we're going to get all these pinholes fixed and sanded down on both doors. So I'll stick you up somewhere, and we'll get these things finished up, and then we'll move on to the back doors. Now I'm using a sponge. This thing is already nice and flat, so don't need to do any flattening really per se. We just want to get rid of this steel coating. And I'll go into a little more depth on this this glazing putty here momentarily when we do the back doors. This stuff will be pretty finicky if it's not used correctly. And we'll get to that here in a minute. All right, I will bring you back when both these doors are done, and we'll get started on the back doors. All right, guys, I want to show you something. I was joking a couple of videos ago about me being really, really good at subpar body work. I want to show you something. Check this out. Let me get this in the light. Woo, boy, that's some good stuff right there. Look at this. Man, man, man. Of course, you know, that's exaggerated by the light, but it is obviously there. So, we're going to see, here's one. We're going to see what we can get done with this. I'll bring you back after we get her block sanded. We'll take another look at it. All right, we all block sanded. It come out super flat. Got a little bit thin right there, and a little bit thin right there, and we got a low spot right there. But the rest of it as flat can be. So in reality, after doing this for so many years, I have a pretty good understanding of what I can get away with. Sometimes I get fooled, but for the most part, I got it under control. I've painted more than one show winner, so there's that. All right, now we're going to get you in here close, and we have this stuff right here, and man, you will have different opinions about this stuff. But if it's used right, then you don't have many problems. Problem is, people try to use this as a body filler, and that is absolutely not what it is for. See these tiny little bitty places right here? That's what this stuff is for, and I'll show you how to apply it. Put it on and wipe it off. Put it on and wipe it off. Put it on, wipe it off. If you do much more than that, you are going to run into problems with this stuff. If you put it on too thick, it might and it might not dry. And that, for the most part, is what people have. The problem people have run into is they're trying to use this for something it is not designed to be used for. It is for simple, tiny little pinholes. Let's see if I can adjust you. These little spots right here. That's what this stuff is for. That is all that it is for. If you put it on too thick, a couple of things are going to happen. One, chances are it's not going to dry. This stuff is a single stage. It hardens by contact with air. So if by chance it does harden when you put it on too thick, number one, it's gonna shrink back. Number two, it's gonna be virtually impossible to feather edge because it's gonna stay gummy. And then if you try to paint over something like this that is not fully cured, when it does finally harden and the shrink back happens, it's going to take your base coat and it's going to take your clear coat with it, because it's going to crack, it's going to shrink back and shrivel, and it's going to look horrible. So use this stuff sparingly. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even follow the instructions on the back, because it says it can be used in places that it can't be used. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and this stuff has been around for a long time, and you will have real problems out of this stuff. I've even heard people talk about it causes fisheye or pinholes. I have never found that to be an issue. I believe what people are talking about is they have put it on too thick, and what I just mentioned happened, and they blame it on the putty, and it's not the putty. It's, for once, it's the painter's fault. Got to blow the dust out of those pinholes. You can't just wipe it off. Wiping it off is not going to work. You got to blow it off and get rid of all that dust. Now here's one right here that is pushing the boundaries of what this stuff is capable of doing. Now, I would never put it on any thicker than that right there. That's pushing it. And chances are when we sand that, we're gonna have to go back and hit it again. I just have that feeling. I went ahead and, I don't know if you saw that. I don't know where the camera was, but I went ahead and scraped the excess off of that because I have a strong feeling that that will not be the last time we revisit that one, or visit that one rather. Let's see what else we got here. Little places like this right here. Like that. That is perfect for this stuff. Perfect. Now, also, the chances are that your fill and sand primer is going to handle some of this stuff, but I've got it out, I've got it ready, and so I just go ahead and get all this stuff done, and that way it's done, and I just don't have to fool with it again, and I don't have to worry about revisiting this process after I've done my block sanding, because maybe I'm different, I don't know. I like most all of my body work and pinhole filling and all that stuff. I like it to be as deep in the paint as I can get it, or another way to say that is early in the process. I don't want to be doing this over my my finished primer, because I don't want my base coat going directly over this unless I just happen to miss a doozy that I'm not going to ignore. And the closer that your body fill gets to the surface of your paint, the more likely you are to have little weird issues pop up. So that's why I like to get this stuff took care of early. But I'll bring you back shortly. Oh, fellers and fellette, looks like we're gonna have to leave her there. My buddy that was gonna come over and help hang the doors, his daughter is throwing him a surprise birthday party that he didn't know about. So we're gonna end it here. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. If this is something that interests you, do me that big favor. It just takes just a second. Leave me a comment. Make sure your bell notifications turned on. That way you'll be notified every time I release new content. But until next time, y'all go do some work.